The modern world sells loneliness as a choice. Being introverted is beautiful. Being alone is freedom. But your brain does not believe that, because for millions of years, being cast out from the group meant one thing: death. Scientists have proven it. Social exclusion and physical pain activate the same region of the brain. Being rejected genuinely hurts, not metaphorically, biologically, and that calculation is still running inside you. Picture this. The group is moving. They decided sometime in the early morning. The hunting signs pointed north. The water source to the east was drying up. The season was turning. The decision wasn't announced. It didn't need to be. 30 people who had lived together their entire lives moved like a single organism, reading each other's signals, adjusting, recalibrating. And then there were 29. Not because anyone decided to leave someone behind, not because of cruelty or intention, just the group moved, and one person didn't move with it. Maybe they were sick, maybe they were slow, maybe they simply weren't there when the direction shifted. It doesn't matter why. What matters is what happened next. In the body of the person standing still, watching the backs of the people they had known since birth disappear into the grass. Something fired, something old, something that didn't wait for conscious thought or rational assessment. A cascade of physiological responses that your body still produces today, in a world where the grass has been replaced by office hallways and the group has been replaced by social media feeds. The same cascade, the same ancient alarm. You already know this feeling. You felt it in smaller versions your entire life. The party you weren't invited to, the conversation that stopped when you walked in, the group chat that existed without you, the plans everyone seemed to know about except you. That hollow feeling in your chest isn't oversensitivity. It isn't immaturity. It isn't something your therapist needs to fix or your inner critic needs to mock you for. It is 300,000 years of survival code telling you something is wrong. Here is what modern psychology has gotten almost completely backwards about loneliness and social exclusion. We treat the pain of being left out as a symptom, as evidence of low self-esteem, anxious attachment, or excessive neediness. The therapeutic goal, in most frameworks, is to reduce the sensitivity, to help the person care less, to build enough inner security that the absence of inclusion doesn't register so loudly. This is like treating the pain of a broken arm by teaching the patient to tolerate pain better. The pain is not the problem. The pain is information. In 2003, neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA ran an experiment that changed how researchers think about social pain. She put participants in a brain scanner and had them play a simple computer game, a virtual tossing game called Cyberball. Partway through the game, the other players, controlled by the computer, stopped throwing the ball to the participant. Just stopped. No explanation, no hostility, just exclusion. The brain scans showed something extraordinary. The region that activated in response to social exclusion was the same region that activates in response to physical pain. The dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, the part of the brain that processes the distress of physical injury, lit up identically when a person was left out of a ball-tossing game. Not similar, not adjacent, the same region, the same neural architecture. Think about what this means. Your brain doesn't have a separate system for social pain. It borrowed the architecture it already had, the system that registers physical damage, that motivates you to stop doing the thing that is hurting you, that demands immediate attention and behavioral change. It borrowed that system because social exclusion, across the vast majority of human evolutionary history, was as genuinely dangerous as physical injury. An infected wound could kill you in days. Being separated from the group could kill you in hours. The pain system didn't distinguish between them because the stakes didn't distinguish between them. Let me take you to a specific place, a specific moment in the archaeological record that most people have never heard of. In 2013, researchers working in a cave system called Cima de los Huesos, the Pit of Bones, in northern Spain, made a discovery that reframed everything we thought we knew about early human social behavior. At the bottom of a 30-foot shaft, they found the remains of at least 28 individuals. Homo heidelbergensis, a human ancestor living roughly 430,000 years ago, long before Homo sapiens, long before anything we would recognize as modern culture. The bones showed something that stopped the research team. Many of the individuals had lived for extended periods with serious physical disabilities, degenerative joint disease, skeletal deformities, conditions that made independent survival, hunting, gathering, keeping pace with a moving group impossible. They had survived anyway, for years, sometimes decades, which means someone took care of them. 430,000 years ago, before language as we understand it, before anything we would call civilization, before agriculture or settlement or any of the structures we associate with organized social support, a group of human ancestors carried their injured and their disabled with them, not because a law required it, not because a moral philosophy demanded it, but because the group was the group, and leaving someone behind was not a neutral act. It was a kind of death they chose not to inflict. Researchers call this evidence of deep-time altruism, the idea that care for the excluded, the vulnerable, the left behind, is not a recent moral development. It is not something civilization invented. It is something written into the structure of human groups long before any of us arrived. But here is the other side of this, the side that is harder to sit with. The same groups that carried their injured also expelled members who threatened group cohesion. This wasn't cruelty. It was the same logic applied in the other direction. The person who consistently took without contributing, the person whose behavior endangered others, the person who could not or would not align with the basic social contract, that person got left behind. And the mechanism that prevented most people from reaching that point, the system that made individuals self-correct before the group had to make the decision, was the fear of exclusion, not the experience of exclusion, the anticipation of it. The anxiety you feel when you think you might be left out, the hypervigilance around social signals, the way you scan a room to check whether you're included, the way a change in someone's tone can send a small alarm through your whole body, that is not neurosis. That is a finely calibrated threat detection system that kept your ancestors inside the group long enough to survive. I want to tell you about something that researchers who study hunter-gatherer societies return to again and again, something that surprises almost everyone who hears it for the first time. In virtually every documented hunter-gatherer community, across every continent, every climate, every cultural variation, there is one social behavior that appears consistently, reliably, almost universally. People work extraordinarily hard not to stand out. Not to be the most impressive, not to claim the most credit, not to accumulate the most status. They work hard to remain, recognizably, visibly, continuously, part of the group. The Hadza of Tanzania have a practice researchers call leveling behavior. When a hunter returns with a large kill, something that could easily generate status and admiration, the group responds with deliberate understatement. The hunter minimizes the achievement. The others receive it without excessive praise. The meat is distributed before it can become a symbol of individual power. This isn't false modesty. This is social technology. The hunter who came back boasting, who used the kill to elevate themselves above the group, who turned a shared resource into a personal monument, that hunter was creating distance between themselves and the community, and creating distance in a world where the group was the only safety net that existed was genuinely dangerous. The modesty wasn't virtue, it was survival. Now think about what this means for the way modern culture is structured. You live in a world that is organized, at almost every level, around individual distinction. Your career rewards you for standing out. Your social media presence is measured by how many people notice you. Your children are evaluated against each other from the age of 5. The entire architecture of modern life points toward one question: how are you better than the people around you? And your nervous system, running the old software, reading the old signals, responds to this pressure with a kind of low-grade chronic confusion. Stand out, but not too much. Be noticed, but don't separate. Be successful, but stay connected. The modern world gives you no coherent instruction about where the line is, because the ancient world had a very clear line, and the modern world erased it without replacing it. Here is what I want you to take from this. The fear of being left behind is not a psychological weakness you need to overcome. It is not evidence of an insecure attachment style or unresolved childhood abandonment. It is the oldest alarm system in the human body, running exactly as it was designed to run. The pain of social exclusion is real. It uses the same neural architecture as physical pain because, for the vast majority of human existence, it carried the same stakes. Your hypervigilance around social signals, the way you notice a shift in someone's tone, the way a missed invitation can stay with you longer than seems rational, the way being left out of something small can produce a feeling that seems disproportionate to the event. None of that is malfunction. That is a system so finely tuned over so many generations that it catches signals most conscious minds never register. What has changed is not the system. What has changed is the world around it. The group of 30 people who knew you your entire life no longer exists in the same form. The social signals you are reading are coming from hundreds of people across multiple platforms and contexts, none of whom know your full story, none of whom are tracking your contribution to a shared survival project. The alarm is going off in a building that no longer matches the blueprint it was designed for. That doesn't mean the alarm is wrong. It means the building needs to be understood differently. The people who matter to your nervous system, the people whose inclusion or exclusion registers in the same neural architecture's physical pain, are not your followers or your colleagues or the people who liked your last post. They are the people who know what you carry, the people who would notice if you stopped moving with the group. Those 28 individuals at the bottom of the pit of bones, the ones who lived for years with conditions that should have made independent survival possible, they didn't survive because they were strong enough to keep up. They survived because the group decided they were still part of it. 430,000 years ago, someone made a choice, not a grand moral choice, not a philosophical decision, just a daily, ordinary, repeated choice to keep moving at a pace that included the person who couldn't move as fast. That choice is in you, on both sides of it. The part of you that aches when you are left behind, that is the ancient knowledge that belonging is not optional, that connection is not a preference, that the group is, in the most literal biological sense, the condition of survival. And the part of you that instinctively notices when someone in your circle has gone quiet, has fallen behind, has stopped moving with the group, that part is the same knowledge, looking outward. The fear of being left behind is not a flaw in your design. It is the reason your design worked. The next time it comes, the hollow chest, the scanning eyes, the thing that the group has moved and you are standing still, don't dismiss it as irrational. Don't mock yourself for feeling it too strongly. Just recognize what it is. An alarm that has been keeping humans inside the group, inside the warmth, inside the circle of firelight, for longer than language has existed to describe it. It kept you here. See you in the next one.